Also, before we get started, there are a few homework things to cover. There are a few promotions from Autodesk going out right now. As most of you know, and if you do not know, please pass on the word that in February 1st there will be no upgrades anymore, so being on subscription is more important than ever. So there are a few promotions regarding financing rates, getting your licenses from 2008 or older up to date, and anything from 2009 to 2014 up to date as well. To gain more information, please contact your account manager or feel free to give us a call, and the numbers will be provided on the end of the presentation as well as you can see on the bottom of the screen. Again, as I mentioned, the Autodesk subscription is ever more and more important than before. There are a few options. Some of folks have been confused what those options might have been regarding desktop subscription, rentals. So again, contact your account representative here at CAD-1 to see which subscription option might be best for you. And also don't forget about our tech support. We have an awesome tech support team here in our office located here in CAD-1 in our Thornton office. Any issues come up or any other problems that may arise, feel free to get a hold of our tech support team and we'll take care of it for you. And any of those that are considered students, we do have what we call CAD-1 Student Industry Tools Training. We have a special program set up for those folks that are paying for the training on their own or in school and need to expand on what some of their colleges and universities may not offer. And also upcoming classes, you'll see there's a list here. For an expanded list, please visit our website, CAD-1.com. But we do have lots of civil classes coming up, and as well as our Infraworks Fundamentals class, which is a fairly new class for us, in the middle of October, on October 13th. All right, with any more delay, I'm going to pass the floor on to Brian.
All right, thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great rainy morning. It's raining here in Colorado, so if you're not from Colorado, then have a great whatever your weather is morning. I want to start off real quick just to kind of get a feel for who it is that I'm going to be presenting to. So I've got a couple of polls here real quick. All right, so are you using the Infrastructure Design Suite? Do you have, the Civil 3D and the Infraworks and the 3ds Max and all that fun stuff? Infraworks does come as a part of the Infrastructure Design Suite. I'll give that a moment. All right, that's long enough. So it looks like most people are using the Infrastructure Design Suite. For those of you that aren't using the Infrastructure Design Suite, maybe you purchased Infraworks, maybe you're just looking in to see whether or not Infraworks the right one for you or not. So let's find out, have you used Infraworks in the past? Is this something you've never done? Are you getting interested in using it? All right, these polls results are kind of interesting here. So let me go ahead and close this one, and I'll share this. And so apparently about 20% of you don't even know what Infraworks is. I'm not sure why you're here, but welcome anyways. Hope you learned something about this program that you have no idea what it is. So are you using Infraworks or Infraworks 360? And yes, there is more than one. So I'm kind of interested to see the results on this one. All right. So that's kind of what I expected to see on this one. About half of you are using Infraworks. Some of you are using Infraworks 360, and some of you didn't realize that there was more than one version of Infraworks. So Infraworks is what you get with the suite. Infraworks 360 adds on to the functionality of Infraworks. It gives you some collaboration tools. And it also allows you to add on, say, for example, the roadway design, the bridge design, and the drainage design tools. All right, so just out of curiosity, how would you rate yourself as an Infraworks user? You've never used it, but you're planning on it. You're just getting started. You're doing all right with it. Maybe you could do a little bit better. Maybe you're pretty darn good at this thing, or you should be kicking me out of here and you'd be up here teaching this thing. All right. Go ahead and close out of that, and we'll share the results. So it looks like somebody thinks they should be teaching this. So if I ever die, we're going to keep your name on file here, so maybe we'll be hiring you. So it looks like most people are new, which is kind of what is expected. It is still a fairly new product. The adoption rate of it is starting to go up, so we're seeing more and more. So great, glad you guys are here. One final question for you guys. All right, how excited are you that school is starting again? I don't have kids, who cares? I miss them. It's nice, but you know, I kind of miss summer. Freedom! All right. I know exactly which one my wife would be choosing on this one, that's for sure. All right, I'll go ahead and close out of that and share the results there. So it looks like either you don't have kids or you're really glad they're back in school. So that's nice to see. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So Infraworks, what we're going to be talking about here is visualization. So the first thing we're going to be talking about are some of the settings that we could do with the visualizations. This is one of the areas that I struggled with when I first started getting into Infraworks. I'd be panning around and zooming in my model and things would just disappear. So you can set Infraworks up to be low quality, so it's geared for speed. It's real quick and easy to move around with and model in. Or you can set it up for more of a high quality to see everything in really good detail. So here's a picture of exact same models. The one over here on the left, this is the low quality settings. All right, and then I went in and I changed this quality settings to high quality settings. That's the only change I made, and you can see there's quite a bit of a difference there. So in a low quality, it takes those high detail stuff and just kind of hides them. So if you're missing things, try changing your visualization styles. When you're taking pictures, you can either do a snapshot or a render. So a snapshot is basically a screen capture of what the screen looks like. So you go in there and you take a snapshot and you get pretty much exactly what's on the screen. A render will actually go in there and render the scene. I mean, if you look at the shadows of the palm trees, if you look at the palm trees themselves, if you look at the road, you can see the materials in more detail. So you can go in and you can render the scene. All right, you got the facades. So the buildings have a facade, and you can change the details of those as well. All right, so we got, again, a low detail and a high detail on the facade. Again, this is going to be the exact same picture. Over here on the left, the detail is set to low. You know, I want to be able to move around quick. I don't want to take those resources to calculate all the different parts of the facade. Over here on the right is the exact same facade with the detail set to high. So you can see there's a huge difference. I just want to see a picture of the side of it, or I actually want to see it as a 3D model. I want to see the steps. I want to see the fire escape. If you look in the shadow over there on the far right-hand side, you can actually see the shadow of the fire escape on the ground. And then we can also get in and start doing some animations or some visualizations with the storyboards. So you can go in and you can create videos. Now, I'm not the best. I'm an engineer. So I don't have a real good eye for visualization and what makes a video look good. But, you know, this is an example of the tools. Now, it's going through the web interface, so it's not quite as smooth as what I'm seeing on my system. But it gives you an idea of what you can do with the visualization tools. All right, and so we can see how to create a video, something along these lines. All right, so I know I've got a great idea. Let's just get to it, shall we? So I'm going to open up Infraworks here. And so this is a sample model that comes with the program. If you've got Infraworks 360, you can download this. This is Fremont Street in Vegas. And this is the one I'm going to be using just to kind of demonstrate some of these different settings. Now, if you have any questions at all, feel free to type them in as we go. If the questions are related to what I'm talking about at the time, I'll stop and I'll answer them. If they're about something else, we're going to hold those questions off till the end, and if we have time at the end, I'll go ahead and answer those questions as well. But here you can see the model. Right now it's set up for more of a high-quality model. That's why we see everything in pretty good detail. So in Infraworks, I can come into my visualization settings. So under my settings and utilities, I have my application options. All right, down here in the far left, I have my application options. And it just opens up, and this is where I can go in and I can set those different settings. Now, these settings are not for the model. These settings are for the application. So, for example, underneath my 3D graphics, you can see right now this is optimized for quality. I want to see everything in high detail. If I change this to optimized for speed, so it's just a little pull down here, you got two options. These are just basically presets of these settings down here. I'm going to set this to optimize for speed, and you can see in my model quite a bit of detail disappears. Now as I pan and I zoom around, that detail comes back up depending upon the distance I am and how complex things are. All right, so this is with the quality setting to low. There is a question, what is the 10-bit color? So this is under the 3D graphics, use 10-bit color channels. This is more colors than you'll get with what we get now. From what I understand, I don't know a whole lot about it. It gives you like a whole bunch of extra colors that most monitors can't handle. So you have to have something that can actually display 10-bit color. So,
and Brian, since you're on the question here, someone else also asked if this model, sample model, is available for Infraworks and 360, Infraworks 360.
So the question is, this sample model that we're looking at here, is this available for Infraworks? Unfortunately, it's not. You have to have Infraworks 360. If you've got the older version, say 2014, prior to release 4, you should be able to download a sample model of San Francisco. But if I go ahead and close out of this, what I did is under my samples at Infraworks, so I've got these online models. The online models here are available if you have Infraworks 360, and it was one of the sample model, the online sample model here. I just clicked on it, downloaded it, and now I have it here, and this is the one that I'm using. So that's a good question. And like I said, because my settings right now are set to low quality, I don't get to see a whole lot. If I change my settings back to the high quality, optimized for quality, select OK, you can see now I see everything as I move around. And I get to see some nice detail. I get some really cool looking palm trees here. And I see cars and all sorts of fun detail. All right. So back there in the settings, let's talk about some of these. So we got the display detail. So this is just a slider. So right now you can see this is set to optimize for quality. So as I make changes down here, I'm changing the presets for optimized for quality. So if I lower my detail, right, you can see, let's see here. All right, as I lower my detail, you can see things start to disappear. All right. So as I bump this back up, things start to appear again. Anti-aliasing, not exactly sure what this is. This is more of like a visual style, jagged lines type thing. So if you have, like, say for example, a roof line here, Right? Is that going to show up as a smooth line, or is it? I'm sure most people here are working in. You worked in AutoCAD, and you see when you draw on that line, you get kind of the little stair-step lines when it's close to being horizontal or vertical. This is what the end of the aliasing takes into place.
A question come up here: is the striping from the tool palette or something you created?
So the question is, the striping from the tool palette, or is it something I created? I have no idea. I didn't create this model. This is just a model I downloaded. All right, so I don't know what this is. Let's see. Let's go into the properties of it real quick. So this is a coverage area, it looks like. So, yeah, it's not a road. It looks like it's more of a coverage area. So, there you go.
Another question popped in since you have a sec here. My Infraworks 2015 interface is missing a bunch of the features I see you presenting. Is that just the difference between vanilla Infraworks and Infraworks 360?
So, Mark, if you could type in real quick, which features are you referring to? Everything that I'm showing you right now should work in regular Infraworks, all these settings and everything. These little tools up here, these are specific to Infraworks 360, if that's what you're referring to. So this is the roadway design, the bridge design, and the drainage design. These are Infraworks 360 specific.
The road button,
yeah.
The bridge icon.
So that's
okay.
Yeah, these are the 360 add-ins. But pretty much everything I'm showing you here today should be able to do in just regular Infraworks without the 360. All right. So let's take a look now at the building facades. So let's see. Let me go. I've got a nice little bookmark here for my facade detail. Let's see if we can find one that has a little bit of light on it. There we go. All right. So as you can see, we got these really cool looking fire escapes on the side of this building. All right. So what I can do is I can go back into my settings, my application options again, and under my model generation, I have an option for the building facade detail. So right now it's set to high. If I set this to medium, nothing changed. All right, so after you make a change to the facade detail, if you want to see what it's going to look like, what I found that seems to work best is go into the properties of the building and make a change to it. Make it change to something. You know, so for example, I don't know, I'll put in a description of here of hello, and then I'll update it. And then you can see the change in the model there. So the detail is now set to medium. When it's set to medium, as I zoom out, it takes quite a while before I lose that detail on the facade. If I go back in here and I set that model generation to low, again, let me go ahead and change something. Hello again. And I'll update that. You can see we had the little ledge on the top of the roof. What's that called, Brian?
Parapet.
That little parapet on the top of the roof, it disappeared. So it gives me even less detail. And then if I want to, I can go ahead and turn off the facade altogether. All right, again, let me go ahead and update this, and I'll just change that back to hello and update it. And you can see now the facades have no details on them at all. Obviously, the less information you show, the better you'll be able, your performance while working in the building or working in the model will be. You'll be able to navigate much faster. Things will generate much faster. You just won't have the detail. All right? All right. So those are some of the settings. Let's check out some of the other settings here. All right, so under the 3D graphics, you got options down here. You can turn on your water reflections. I don't have any water in this particular model. So if you want to see the buildings reflecting in the water, the realistic water, you have the motion in the water. Turn shadows on and off. So if I we've got shadows in here. You can actually see the shadows from these poles here. All right, if I turn the shadows off, you see the shadows all go away. All right, again, it's going to make your model much faster. Turn the shadows back on, and things look much better. And then you get this option down here to show back faces. I see this be an issue quite often, especially when people are dealing with like SketchUp models or 3D models that they bring into their file. Your different faces, especially like in a SketchUp model, you have the front face and you'll have the back face. All right, let me bring a model in here real quick that I've got, or at least I think I've got. All right, so I'm just going to go bring in a model. Let's see. I have to save that to, let's see. Let's see. Where's that sample? There it is. All right, so I'm going to bring Coors Field in here just because I feel like it. We'll see how it compares in size. And the reason I'm bringing this one in is because I'm pretty sure it has that back faces issue. All right, where'd it go? Oh, helps if I actually give it a type here. So I'll make that city furniture. I always forget something at the spur of the moment. All right, it's thinking. Give me just a moment here. Maybe later. All right, so here's my course field. I eventually am going to get rid of this, but as you can see, if you take a look at like the lights up here at the top, they look fine. There don't seem to be much issues with those. If I go back into my application settings and I turn off show back faces, this isn't the model that was doing that. Oh, bummer. Okay, so if I look underneath of the model, you can see I can see right through a lot of the model. So this one actually does have the back face issue. It's just not as bad as the other models that I've been using. So as you can see, I can see right through the bottom of the surface as well. So the faces have both sides. If you're looking at it from one side and you can't see the thing that you should be able to see, turn on your back faces. So if I go back and I go to my 3D graphics and I show back faces, you can see I can now see the underside of it. Again, this is here to help with performance. If you're just working a basic, real simple Infraworks model, you don't really need to show the back faces. But if you're trying to, say, for example, show utilities, let me get rid of course field here, and I'm zoomed in underneath the street, right, showing the back faces can be really helpful in seeing where in relationship to the roads and the surface and everything these utilities are. If I were to turn off the back faces again, we got a floating car, floating trees, floating light poles, floating people, right? We got all sorts of oddities going on. So a lot of times I like to turn my show back faces on. It just seems to make more sense to me. All right. So let's talk a little bit about just taking images. So under my presentations menu here, so create and conduct infrastructure design presentations. It's got the little monitor with the play symbol on it. What I'm going to do real quick, let's see, let's zoom in here where we got some cool trees. And we got trader bills and a cop car and some fun stuff going on here. All right, so I want to take an image of this spot right now. So under my presentations menu, I get the command create a snapshot. So I'll create my snapshot. It's going to ask, okay, where do you want to save this? All right, so I'm just saying, let's see, I'll go to my documents and I'll create a new folder here called Infraworks Images. Oops. I misspelled it, but that's okay. And I'll call this one Snapshot. That works. All right, and I'll save this. I can set the resolution. I can use the resolution of the viewport. I'm going to do it 800 by 600. I'll save that. And now if I go open that, you can see it's just a picture. It almost looks exactly like what I have here in Infraworks. All right, it's same quality. It's just basically a screenshot. All right, the other option I have is to render this model. So I've got this option here, render model. All right. So what's going to happen as you run the command, it's going to continue to render the scene until you get to a point where you're happy with it. So you just take a look at the preview over there on the right-hand side, and as you watch, it'll constantly be updating and getting better. And once you get it to a point where, hey, I like this, you just hit the stop button down here, this little red button, and then you hit the save button. Now, before you get too far into it, you might want to just go ahead and stop it and then change some of the settings. Like, for example, I can change the date for the sun. So right now it's April 1st at 10:30 in the morning. Well, maybe I want to know what it's like on June 18th at 7:30 in the morning. And you can see my model in the background here starting to change. I can change how much overcast it is. So this will affect the light in the rendered scene. So if I change this, say, to 60% overcast, and then I'll just start rendering it again. So I got some more controls over the rendering than I do over the snapshot. And again, as this progresses, it'll continue to get better and better. How long should you let it run? I don't know. Yeah, as long as you want until it gets to the point where you like it. And so you can see each time it gets through that pass, it gets a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better. And then when I'm done, I just hit stop, and then I save it. And I'll just call this one render.jpg. All right, so there's the rendered scene, and it would continue to get better if I let it run further. And there's the snapshot. So the render versus the snapshot. All right. All right, so does anybody have any questions so far on any of these things that we've done? If you do, go ahead and type them in. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to make a video. I want to create a fly-through of my project. So this is going to be done through the presentation menu, and I'm going to create a storyboard. So I come over here to the storyboard creator. All right, so Julia has a question. Will the render ever get better than the snapshot? A lot of it depends upon the settings, your computer, or how long you let it run, and what you consider to be better. The snapshot is just what you see on the screen. A render, or the water looks, if I had water in here, you would see the water looks much more realistic than the kind of cartoony water that Infraworks has, just kind of in general. So, like I said, a lot of it depends on your settings. If you know how the settings affect rendering, you can get a really good scene out of it. I'm a civil engineer. I don't know how to make things look good. But we do have people in the office that do. So if you have questions on those types of settings, we have people that can help you with that. So I've got my storyboards open. I went ahead and created a video. This is the video that I created for the PowerPoint presentation. So what I can do is I can just come in here and play the video. Again, it looks much better on my screen than through the web interface just because there's a lot of graphics that have to be pushed through the internet right now for this. On your screen, it's very choppy. On my screen, it's very smooth. All right, so how do we go about creating these sorts of things? Well, let me go ahead and stop this. We're done now. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go create a new storyboard. So I come down here, and I'm going to add in a storyboard. All right, so I'll add in a new storyboard. I'm going to name this storyboard webinar. Why not, right? And then basically I zoom to the area where I want to start. So I want to start my presentation, say for example here. I'm then going to come down and I'm going to add a camera path animation. This is probably the simplest way of creating these animations. There are lots of different ways of creating specific pans and zooms and cranes and things like that. If you want to get into that, you absolutely can. But I'm just going to use the camera path animation. There are a couple other options down here. You can create an animation from a design road. So if you have Infraworks 360 with the roadway design tools, you can create a design road and then have an animation that will follow along the design road. And you can also import a camera path. So I did a little bit of testing with this, and you can actually go into Civil 3D, create a points, export those to a point file, and import that as a camera path, and then you can real easily create your camera path that way. But in this case, I'm just going to add a camera path animation. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the way the model looks right now, exactly where my camera is, and add this as the first keyframe. So down here in the bottom right, I have some options for this particular keyframe. So for example, when I'm going to the next keyframe, how long do I want it to take till I get there? So as you can see right now, by default, it's set to 3 seconds. So to transition to the next camera, or keyframe, so I'm going to zoom in here, come over here, let's see, we'll look down this street, and let's see, let's take a look at the big cowboy in the middle of the street, right? All I have to do is hit the plus down here, and this will add the current view as the next keyframe. So when I come over here and play the animation, it's going to take 3 seconds to get there. And like I said, on my screen, it's much, much smoother than what you guys are seeing. So now I'm here. Again, I got settings. By default, it's set to keep the speed. So if I've zoomed from far out to way in over 3 seconds, well, I was moving at about 1,200 kilometers per hour. I don't want to be moving that fast down this road. So I'm going to set the speed, say, I don't know, the speed limit on here is probably, what, 30 miles an hour? So, I don't know, say 100 kilometers per hour. So it's faster than somebody would normally drive. And then I just go to the next spot where I want my next keyframe. And let's see, let's pan over this way a little bit. And get away from the light. There we go. Ah, that looks good. And then again, I hit the plus to add in the keyframe. So this is going to take 7 seconds to go down this road. All right, so if I come back up here, I'll just start at the beginning, hit the play. So it's going to take 3 seconds to get that first spot. And then it's going to take, and I didn't do a very good job with that. I should come back and fix that so I don't dip under the ground. 7 seconds to get to the next one. So it kind of tries to keep the same path going. And then maybe I want to look around, so I'll come up here, and let's see, let's take a look down this road here, and I want to see the bridge and Fremont Street. And then again, I simply come in here and add the next keyframe. All right, and then I hit play, and I can see the whole thing once again. So this is how you create those visualizations. Once I've got the storyboard created the way I want it, all I have to do is now export the story or save the storyboard as a video. Real simple. I just hit the record button. So I export the current storyboard to video. The encoder, I've got several different options. Choose which one you think is best. I did an uncompressed video for the PowerPoint presentation. You can do a Windows Media video, that's a WMV, DV video, I don't even know what that, oh, that's an AVI, or an MPEG. So you've got those options. So I'll do a WMV here. How many frames per second do you want? Do you want to use the viewport resolution, or do you want to set a specific resolution? So I'm going to keep the aspect ratio. And then if you want, you can export out just a piece of the video. So I don't want to do the whole thing. I want to export from time to time. And then I hit the record button, and it goes through and it records the video for me. And that's all there is to creating a video. Like I said, there are other options. There's lots of different options for setting your keyframes. You can put captions in here. You know, so let's say, for example, I don't know, I guess this is Fremont, so let's see, let's put in a caption. All right, so that's the keyframe. Where's my captions? There's it. I'll add a new caption. See, I'll put that caption right there. And I want to call this one, I don't know, CAD-1 rocks. Just to have something in there. And now as I play this, once I get to the caption, you'll see that text pop up through the video. All right. So that's what I have for visualization within Infraworks. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. It looks like we did have a question earlier, so Brian will get to that here in just a little bit unless somebody else has some visualization questions.
No, just, so this is Brian Jude here. Just some other things to think about when you're putting together videos. That would be, what's your audience going to be as far as, are you presenting this on the web, or are you going to be presenting this on a large screen format? So when you're going in and setting up these videos and transitions and stuff, you want to keep in mind what your target video is going to be when you go to save it out. The other thing to think about is the video itself. Don't spend 20 minutes walking down a street like this. Your average cuts scene on a sitcom is 18 seconds between different cuts. So to keep your audience just entertained and not have a very boring video, go quickly down large boulevards. Maybe add 3 or 4 videos to explain the project rather than one long one that goes through the whole thing, every street corner, every angle. These are just some typical things to have while you're doing visualizations and setting it up in there. And I think that's about all I have. You know, just making sure your screen size, whatever your output's going to be, is going to match what you need to have. And then your frame rate is going to be set up that way too. So if you're going to present online, 15 frames a second is a good rule of thumb. If you're going to have something a little bit higher quality, you know, you might pump that up to 24 frames a second or something like that for something you might view off of a computer. But again, no reason to make it 24 frames a second for internet use, because a lot of people aren't streaming that down fast, although you could be doing a little bit faster today. But just think about your audience, what you're setting it up for, what the purpose of this is for, and you know, keeping everybody interest as a visualization tool.
A couple questions did come in.
Okay.
Can you render your videos or just the stills?
All right, so the question is, can you render the videos or just the stills? Within Infraworks, you can only render the stills. There is no option to render the videos. If you need to render the videos, one of the options that you have is to export out as an FBX. So you can export out your Infraworks model as an FBX file, and then you can bring that into a program such as 3ds Max, and then you can do all of your rendering and animations in there as well. So currently Infraworks doesn't do any animation. I can't make the people walk down the road. In 3ds Max I would be able to do that.
Okay. And actually setting up the things like cars moving and people moving, if you want to do that, that's actually a very easy thing to do within 3ds Max to get people to animate and get cars to animate. So that could be an option for you.
A couple more questions have come in. I have a model that is an entire country, but I need to maintain quality during videos. Is there a way to cache the services, coverages, areas, etc., to prevent them from cutting in and out?
There's no way that I know of to cache them. The thing I would say is double check your settings, your application settings, and make sure that when you go to create your video that these are set up high. Like I said, I don't know of a way to cache them so that they're there. Infraworks does an automatic cache to their stuff so that as you come in, it'll show you what you need to see. So that's the best answer I got for you, Roland. Sorry.
Okay. Is there a way to export a model out to SketchUp or 3ds Max file, do work in the model there, and then export back into an Infraworks file?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I already explained how you can export out to a 3ds Max file. You export an FBX. Once you've done doing whatever you need to do in 3ds Max, you can then export that back out as an FBX file. And then you can import that into Infraworks as a 3D model. You're going to lose all of the different components, but you could do that. Now, most of the time, if you're going to be pulling that into 3ds Max, you're going to be doing that for animation purposes. The animations will not come back into Infraworks.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Lawrence?
That is it.
All right. So, Brian, hang on the line here for a bit. I'll answer your question. So that's it for visualization. Brian does have a question that's not really visualization oriented that I'm going to get to here in just a second. I suppose what I could do, we got about 15 minutes left. I'll just open it up to any Infraworks questions you guys have. Nothing out of the, nothing's off limits here.
Topic.
Yeah. You can ask any question you want. Doesn't mean I'll answer it, but you can ask any question you want.
And also, everyone, to keep in mind, we're here to support you in every way. So if there's any additional questions that come up later, training options, which we have, again, a training class here. We can come to your office and do a little hand-holding through a project. We can do a little bit of analysis on the issues you might be having, or maybe there are a handful of people that have not moved to this suite yet, or this particular product, a standalone product on its own, and maybe being able to help you to make the decision or not if that would work for your business. Feel free to give us a call. We're here to handle any questions and support you in any way moving forward.
All right, so Brian's question was, can you show how to bring in DEM data and export to Civil 3D, then create a Civil 3D surface? So it's pretty straightforward. So here, and this is, if you have a DEM file, this is what I recommend you do. Don't try to take that DEM file directly into Civil 3D. You're just going to be asking for headaches. Bring it into Infraworks, export it out, and then bring that exported file into Civil 3D. So I've got a DEM file. Let me go find it here real quick. Let's see, GIS data, United States, Colorado. We'll do City of Loveland. I've got this beautiful DEM file that I downloaded from the national map. So this is these image files here. So this is my DEM file. So I'm just going to take both of those and simply drag them into my Infraworks. It's then going to bring up my configure. It realized that, hey, this is terrain data, so I don't have to really do anything. It picked up on the coordinate system of the data set, and I'll close and refresh. Maybe I should have just done one file.
It'll work.
All right, while this is working, we got a couple more questions. Bob asked, can you import a SketchUp model? Yes, you can. There's a couple of different options. If you're using Infraworks 360, there is an option just to import the SketchUp model. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to send the SketchUp model up to Autodesk via the internet. Autodesk is going to convert it to something that Infraworks can use, and then it'll bring it into your Infraworks for you. If you don't have Infraworks 360, what I would recommend is to download and install SketchUp. Open up the SketchUp file in SketchUp, and then export that as a collada. A collada. And then you can import that collada into Infraworks real simply.
That brings the next question up, is how do we get Infraworks 360?
How do we get Infraworks 360? You have to buy it. You have to talk to the sales folks here at CAD-1, and they can give you the information on how to obtain Infraworks 360.
Is it included in a suite, or is it a...
It is not included in any of the suites. So this isn't a separate purchase that you would have to make. And then once you have 360, you can then start to add in some of those other tools, such as the roadway design, the bridge design, and those types of things. All right, so here's my train. It's eventually going to start updating. And I'm interested in, so you can see this is a fairly large terrain. All right, we'll just go back to the home view. All right, so this is kind of the city of Loveland. Ooh, this area over here looks interesting. All right, so I got an interesting area over here. This is really the only area that I'm interested in. I don't need this huge terrain model in Civil 3D. This is the area that I'm interested in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to export it out as an IMX file. So under your settings and utilities, I can export an IMX file. So I choose Export IMX. Right? I don't want to do the entire model. I simply want to do a bounding box, or I could do a polygon. So I'll choose bounding box, and I'll just pick the area that I'm interested in. Because we're in the United States and we're backwards, we haven't adopted the metric system yet. What I recommend is to set an imperial coordinate system as you're exporting out of Infraworks, because I'm going to be importing into a metric or an imperial coordinate system. All right, so I'm going to find my coordinate system here. So I'll just hit the little world button. Let's see. So I'm going to go find USA, Colorado. And I'm going to choose CO83NF. So Colorado State Plains North Zone, US foot. So that's the coordinate system I want to assign to the IMX file. This is not the coordinate system of the Infraworks model. The Infraworks model is in Latin long. All right, so it's going to, let's see, let's just throw that, I don't know, I'll just throw it on my desktop. And I'll export that out. So let me go ahead and launch Civil 3D while this is going on. Should have done that earlier. So it's creating the IMX file. I'm launching Civil 3D simultaneously. I'm doing a webcast. The fans on my computer are humming along pretty nicely right now. All right, so here I am in Civil 3D. Almost. All right, I've got a drawing. It's an imperial drawing. It doesn't have a coordinate system set yet. I haven't done anything for the project yet. I just want to bring that terrain model in. When I bring an Infraworks file in, it will do a coordinate transformation for me if they're in different coordinate systems. If the drawing doesn't have a coordinate system, it will assign that coordinate system to it. So I'm just going to come up here to the Insert tab, and I'm going to import that IMX file. All right, and browse to it. It just happens to be on my desktop. Isn't that convenient? And it's importing. There's a lot of data here. Oh, and it's just super exciting. And there it is. All right, so let's take a quick look at the properties on this surface. All right, so I'm going to go to my surface properties. I'm curious how many points we imported from this very, very small little area of my original surface. All right, so as you can see, we imported 256,203 points in that really, really small little area. So DEM files are huge. They have a ton of data in them. So you really want to be careful when you're taking that into Civil 3D, that you only bring in the area that you need for your design. So hopefully that helps you, Brian.
All right, question from Julie. Julie, give us a second. We're going to review this offline here for a sec.
This one here. All right, Julie. So Julie asks, says, I brought in a rail into my model and it changed the grading of the model. I tried bringing it in as a shapefile and also just drew the rail. I had a flat platform with a retaining wall and it changed the slope on the other side of the wall. The rail object is an object. It creates its own surface. So when you bring it in, it is going to change your surface. If you do it as a coverage area, you can drape the coverage area on it, but then I don't know how the rail would really look. So you got to take a look at the style of the rail object you're bringing in and make sure that it's set up to work with your model. I think that's the best I have for that.
Another question come in from Brian. When I do an import, nothing comes in. I'm using 2014 Civil 3D and Infraworks. Any suggestions?
It should come in. Maybe you're exporting out such a large area that Civil 3D can't handle it. You might be overtaxing your system, and your system just can't handle that much data in Civil 3D. Don't have any other ideas other than that, Brian. If you want, you can call us up here at CAD-1, and we can try do some tech support with you. We always offer our first tech support call for free, so you can give that a try if you'd like, and we can take a look at your data set. I personally haven't run into a situation where it doesn't work, so give us a call and we can try to help you with that. All right, anything else we got going on, Lawrence?
That's all the questions that we have at the moment. Again,
All
if
right.
anyone has a last-minute question, please send it over, and we could answer it offline.
All right, so just a couple of things. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. I have my blog. Thank you guys very much for attending with us. If you have any questions, we'll stay on the line for a little bit and try to answer any questions you got. And have a wonderful day today.
Ciao.